te rongo pai tapu ki te ringi kritina a Matthew. The Holy Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and the teachers of the law, he asked them where the Christ was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star which they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold and of incense and of myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Whakamoemititia ia te kupu mana. This is the gospel of Christ. Christ. Now, normally before I give a sermon, I speak them out. When I give them a little talk, there we go. Okay. So, Bruce, are you a child of God?
I certainly am.
Well, would you like to come up and help us with this?
I'm probably the youngest here, so.
Yes. Just a minute, we're going to round up a few others too. Is someone here who's of a shorter stature? Would you like to come up and help us? Okay, that's great. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone? Oh, there's a little person over there. Would you like to come? Could you come with mum or grandma? Yeah. You're not alone, you know. Yeah. Come on, Bruce. And what about you, Wes? You're a child of God? Are you a child of God? Okay, well, come on then. Let's come up here and learn something. Children of God always like to learn things. And they, can you sit on the floor?
Sure.
You can get down on the floor. You might need some help getting up. Okay, this is wonderful. This is great. Okay. Ooh. And what's your name? DJ. And what's your name? Hey. Well, so today is a special day in the calendar of the church. We often have special days. We had a very special day recently. What was that? DJ, do you remember? You don't know? Christmas? Yeah. And what did we do on Christmas? Did we eat lots of food? No. Well, that's a good idea. I don't think Jesus ate lots of food on his Christmas. What about Owen? And what did you do for Christmas? You bought a new Christmas tree. Now that's wonderful.
Oh, we just had a Christmas.
You had one too? Did you help decorate it? Were you allowed to put some decorations on?
I always have some really old decorations that I put on the bottom because my cats like to play with them, you see. And I don't like the big ones to get broken. So there's plenty of room in my Christmas tree for,
Well, yes.
you have some old ones? Do you like putting them on? Are they got memories for you? Yeah. I tell you a secret. I've got some old ones. Oh, you've got cats on your shirt. That's wonderful. I have some old ones that my mother brought to New Zealand from Canada in 1946. And I put them on my tree and I put them way up so that no cat can reach them. But they're very special to me.
There was no. Well, my cat. Well, I put mine down the bottom.
Do you? Okay.
And the cat doesn't go and play with them.
The cat doesn't. You've got
Well, my cat doesn't.
your cat.
play with them.
You've obviously trained your cat very well, and that's a very difficult thing to do. Yeah,
I trained her,
yeah.
and she didn't listen.
She didn't listen. But if she doesn't play with the toys, she's fine. That's great. Lovely cat. So what I'm going to teach you about today or ask you about today is a special word that we use in the church. And there's lots of churchy words that we use, but that doesn't mean that we can't understand them. So this word is epiphany. Have you ever heard that word? No? What about you, Anwood? Have you ever heard that word? Epiphany? You got to kind of almost spit it out. Epiphany. Epiphany is a word that's used a lot even in outside the church. And epiphany means, aha. It means, so what? And it's the word that comes to you when you've suddenly got an idea. You're thinking about something. You're thinking about, how could we do this? What do we need to do about that? Why did that happen? And all of a sudden, aha, you get an epiphany. And you get an idea of what that answer to your question. Has that ever happened to you, DJ? Yeah? Yeah, you've got a bright head inside there, I think. Yeah, you got lots of good things. What about Wes? Have you ever come across a bright idea that's suddenly come upon you?
I've had plenty.
I've had, yes, yeah, I should imagine that taking care of this church, you would have to have plenty. I think we need lots of bright ideas around the place, don't we? What about you, Suzanne? Have you had some bright ideas? That comes with the gray hair, I'm afraid. Yes, yeah.
And mine goes too quick.
Yours goes too quick? Okay, well, one of the things that, that small people have a big responsibility in the church. And one of those responsibilities, one of those jobs that you have to do is remind us that if we think long and hard enough, we will get a good idea. And one of the places that those good ideas come from is who? Who would give you a good idea?
Not anyone.
Not anyone? Not your mom or your dad? No?
I don't.
You don't have a dad. Okay, that's all right. But only a mum. Well, she'll have to, she's good enough for both, I imagine.
Lucky.
Yeah, you're lucky to have such a lovely mum. So, what about you?
And also, she puts her. No, I'm thinking she doesn't make nothing or do anything.
She does. Of course she does. She
No,
takes
she
care of you.
doesn't.
She takes care of you.
Well, she doesn't do anything.
Oh, well. Well, I don't do much either, so that's all right. Yeah. Anyway. So
I
Bruce, who do you think
I
might
like
give
to
you a
think-
good idea every once in a while?
I think God's spirit sometimes slips a good idea
Into the head? Yeah. Did you ever read those comic books when we were young? And they used to have these little bubbles over their heads that they had the talking all along. And all of a sudden there would be a light bulb. Yes. And that meant epiphany. Aha. Eureka. All those good things. Yes. So what was the eureka that we hear about today, do you think?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, maybe that's what we're going to find out when I blather on a bit more to everybody, eh? Okay. I'll tell you about this eureka that God gave. And it has to do with Christmas, but more importantly, it has to do with what happened after Christmas. Okay. So thank you very much. Do you want to go back to your families now? That would be good. And someone wants to go back to play with the toys? That would be nice. Thanks, guys. I have here my floppy Bible. Floppy Bible is always a good crutch to have to hold you up in the appropriate times. So today is the day of the Epiphany. And when Mark asked me if I would preach on behalf of St. Andrew's, because this is the second Sunday and I usually preach the second Sunday, I said, I'll do that if you let me do Epiphany. And he said, oh, don't we normally do Epiphany? And I said, I don't think so. And he said, okay, we'll do Epiphany then. So here we are in Epiphany. And Epiphany is one of my favorite Sundays or days. First of all, because it's the Orthodox Christmas. If you know any Orthodox friends, Ukrainians or Russians or Greeks, they will have celebrated Christmas this past week. And there was a lovely Orthodox family in my former parish. And so I always got a second Christmas meal every year going to them for their Ukrainian Christmas, pierogies and things like that were, cabbage rolls, all sorts of things, all sorts of wonderful things. Christmas we know about and we remember about, and there's all sorts of images we have about Christmas. Christmas has to do with a baby being born in a stable. It has to do with shepherds. It has to do with a young girl, Mary, and her husband, Joseph, who didn't really know how to handle the situation until God spoke to him. And we have lots of images, lots of carols that we sing, lots of pictures that we have. Epiphany, not so much. But what's the picture for Epiphany? Well, I'll give you one. The picture for Epiphany, the image that shines through Epiphany is light. God's light. We also think of that in the way of being God's glory. Glory and light. So Isaiah, in his passage today, is talking to a ragtag bunch of people who just made their way back to the land of milk and honey, back to Canaan from Babylon. They had been in Babylon for generations. They had been in exile there. They had been kidnapped and taken away from their home, and they were so linked to their home, to their land, that this was a really major uplift, a major trauma for them. And in those several generations where they spent time in Babylon, many of them intermarried with other people from Babylon, and some of them left and went off into the diaspora around the Mediterranean. And so they became a scattered community, and their identity was severely tested throughout that. So they were living in what Isaiah calls deep darkness. You've been there. Times when it feels like you're sort of wading through something and you just can't get out. Times when things overwhelm you and you can't see an end to it. And in the midst of all of this, Isaiah says, arise, get up, you guys, shine, for your light has come. Your light has come. This is not a light that they've generated in themselves. This is a light which has come from Yahweh, from God. And he has given them a light. Something by which they can see the way forward. He hasn't taken them out of that darkness yet, but he's given them a light so that they can move through that darkness and come out the other end. See, even the train agrees. So he has given them a light, and so your light means the light that Yahweh has given them. But they are encouraged in Isaiah's words to hold fast to that light, to let that light overwhelm them, overcome them, surround them, restore them. That's a word that they wanted to hear about, because they wanted to be restored back to being the people of the land. And they wanted to be restored again to being God's chosen people. And the light is what will enable them to do that. But there's another meaning of the word, your light, because when they allow that light to seep through them, when they allow that light to work through them and transform them, then they have that light, and that light shines out to others. So it becomes the light of the people, light given to the people, but then the people themselves become the light to others. And this is an image which we can hold fast to as an image of our own Christian journey, where we allow God to enlighten us, to transform us, to restore us to the ways we were meant to be, to take out all that shitty stuff, that dark stuff, that dirty stuff that accumulates over time, and to make it into something that is light, that is enlightening, which is bringing understanding and news to the people, to spread the gospel. So then Matthew gives us the story about three sages, three magi, three wise guys who come from the east. Now they were astronomers, and they studied the stars. And that was in fact a major scientific discipline in those days. They didn't know a lot about chemistry or biology or physics as we know science, but there were stars, and they studied the stars, and they gathered data about the stars, and they knew that something was happening, that there was going to be a super star, if you like. And I'm not going to use any astronomical terms because I don't know what they are, but I think you can hear me say that they knew something was big was going to happen. They had also heard about the story from the Israelites, from the Hebrew people. They knew that the Hebrew people were waiting for a Messiah. They were waiting for a major event, some event that was going to turn the world upside down. And that event was going to be signified by a movement in the heavens, in the stars, in the cosmos. The birth of this child, this little baby lying in a manger, surrounded by sheep and goats and smelly animals, it was a cosmic event. Our God is the God of the universe, not just of the earth. And he has, in this event of transformation, of the possibility of redemption for the whole world, for the whole creation, this is a cosmic event. We have made it into something very human. And that's important for us because we have to understand that this cosmic event is not something that is beyond us and that we can never touch. It is here. It is here with us. It is here in the birth of a baby. It is here in the life of a historic person. So that's an important part of it. But it's also important for us to remember that it's part of the cosmic journey, that it's part of the creation story, that the creation story is being brought into redemption, is being recreated in this event of this birth of this baby, and who becomes Jesus, our Redeemer, the one who saves us. So these sages, these magi is the Greek word, sages, whatever you want to call them. Wise guys is what I think of them as. And we have lots of images of them. We talk about the three kings, for example, and they would have been indeed leaders in their world because their world was very focused on science. Science was a very important part of their world. We have to investigate the world around us. And these guys did that. These three kings, leaders, sages, magi, traveled from afar to journey to the light, because they knew that that light was coming into the world and was going to change the world and change their world as well as the world of the Jews. We too journey towards the light in our life. We do not keep away from the light. We are not afraid of being in the light because we know that in journeying towards the light, we have Jesus beside us. Not in front of us to pull us along, not behind us to push, but beside us to hold us up when we need it, to keep us going. One of the reasons why I'm sitting down is because I need two new hips. Sorry, I've already got new knees. I need new hips. And I can't stand for very long. So that's why I'm preaching from here. I know that after I get either one of those two hips, we have to go through it twice. Whenever I need that, I'm going to need help to be able to walk. And I'm very thankful that I'm going to have some physio-terrorists, as I call them, standing beside me and helping me to keep my balance as I learn how to walk again. That's what Jesus does. He helps us to walk towards the light. He encourages us. He enlightens us. He upholds us. These sages are not Jews. They are not the people chosen by God. They are Gentiles. And yet they have this sincere, this persistent search for the baby. They keep at it, going across deserts, finding it difficult. They really are earnest in their search. And we too must earnestly search for that light which will enlighten our lives. The other thing is that they are not guided by any human identity. Those of you who are traveling off during the holiday season, you've probably picked out where you're going to go and you've got your route all sorted out. You've made human decisions. These sages have been guided by God, guided by the light, the star. And so we ask God for guidance in terms of where we are going. And we hope that that guidance, we know that that guidance will come from God. And we just hope that we are able to perceive it in our own lives. So we keep our eyes open. As Christopher prayed, we hope to see God in every minute of our day today. We hope to see God present and not miss him because we're busy doing our own things. And then when they get there, of course, there's great joy. And they give him presents which signify the importance of this baby to the world, the salvation of the world. So when we bring ourselves to the light, as we need to do, as we bring ourselves to the light and we allow the light to overcome us, we allow the light to transform us, we allow the light to fill us with the shalom, which is not just peace, but the well-being. I think the Maori idea of kia ora, be well. That's a greeting that they have, and that tells us what God wants us to have from this light. We are supposed to gain order, health, well-being from the light. requires an openness, requires a searching on our part, requires a desire to be enlightened and not to hide away with what we've always known and always done, but to be open to something new. It tells us that God is in fact bigger than us. Why? Because he's not limited to just the Jews. In those days, each group of people had their own God or gods, and the Jews had Yahweh. But Yahweh and Jesus, the Messiah, were not there just for the Jews. They were there for the Gentiles, for all who seek for God, all who search for the light, all who are open to being transformed by God's love and God's peace and God's shalom. The light has come into the world. Take hold of it. Take hold of its shalom and let it shine forth from you so that the gospel message may reach out to the world. Amen.